It's like when you know your little child. It's just the only thing he thinks about are Bionicles and Tinker Toys and everything else. He doesn't really worry about anything. Why? Because that's what Dad does. I don't have to worry about anything. That's what Dad does. Someone try to hurt me, Dad will beat him up. We need food, Dad will get it. I'm going to go play. Although misguided, what you see is a trust in character. A trust in power, albeit a limited power. In the same way with us, trusting in God. Trusting in God. Let me just say a few things. He's seated upon a throne. The words communicate the settled, undisturbed sovereignty of Him who does all things according to His will. Now, another thing that we're going to just get to here is it's lofty and exalted, His throne. That the Son is seated there, lofty and exalted. The Son is seen above all authority and power in heaven and on earth. Now, Matthew Henry says something very profound here. He says, this throne is high. You say, well, what's profound about that? Just think about it. It's high. It's higher than all the other thrones, not only of this world, but there are supposedly, we can only sort of imagine from the traces we have in Scripture, there are principalities and powers and mights and dominions that they in themselves alone could take on all the armies of this world. We see every once in a while in the Old Testament just one of those guys coming down and putting away an army of 180,000 men or so. His throne is above all principalities and powers and mights and dominion. Matthew Henry says His throne is high and lifted up above all competition and contradiction. You know, we say that when someone is insecure, they're very competitive. They've got to prove themselves. Or when someone's not necessarily insecure, but he's an athlete or a businessman, and there's someone close on his heels that's about to take him over in business, or another basketball player that's about to become the center of attention in the NBA, then this one that's in the lead starts striving even more and more to stay ahead. Notice that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, is just seated. There's no competition. When we talk about a war going on, and Jesus Christ coming back on that white horse and fighting against the nations, realize that that's human speech. Realize that it's just a limited description of what's going on. Folks, it's not going to be much of a fight. Notice that the sword comes out of his mouth. He speaks a word and it's over. There's no competition here. He's not looking around thinking, well, some other throne is getting raised up higher than mine. I love what Matthew Henry says. His throne is high. It is high. Now, notice this, and we're going to end on with the train of his robe filling the temple. Notice this. The robe which filled the temple seemed to portray the expanse of the Son's majesty and the extent of His sovereignty. His robes reached everywhere and filled everything. Now listen to what Delitzsch writes. He saw the Lord, and what is more, he saw the all-filling robe of the indescribable one. As far as the eye of the seer could look at first, the ground was covered by this splendid robe. There was consequently no room for anyone to stand. There was no place in the throne room of God, the throne room of His dear Son, that you could stand, that you were not touched by the expanse of His sovereignty and His majesty. There is no place, no circumstance where you can be in heaven or on earth where His sovereignty is not filling every bit of that little container you're in. He's sovereign over all things. Matthew Poole writes, his glorious robes reached down to the bottom of the temple and were spread abroad in the temple, which was an evidence. Now listen to this. People don't talk this way anymore. Which was evidence of a more than ordinary majesty. You see, all the terminology being used here, is it infallible? Is it inspired Scripture? Yes. But in another sense, because it is condescending, it can almost be described as pitiful language. As pitiful language. That even this language here, this majestic vision that Isaiah has, in no way touches on the true majesty that he saw. And the true majesty that he saw in no way begins to encompass the real majesty of God. And the sovereignty he saw filling the entire temple, filling the entire earth, in no way did he comprehend the reality of it. You and I have no cause for fretting. We have no cause for worry. We may have cause for brokenness. We may have cause for confession. We may have cause for acknowledging we do not understand or comprehend the greatness of the one upon the throne, and that we do not trust as we ought. But we have no cause for worry or fret if we know this God. What does Scripture tell us? Who will be strong? The ones who know their God. Well, everything is just falling apart according to the plan of God, according to the decree of God. But why would he do this? For his own glory and our good. God is my deliverer. In order for him to be your deliverer, you have to be delivered from something. He's seated upon a throne, high and lifted up. The train of his robe filled the temple, his glory and his majesty. Now, just to close, let me say something about prayer, just for a moment. Jesus Christ gave us the perfect psychology, I guess we could say, of prayer. The proper attitude that we are to have in prayer. Our Father is the first part. Our Father. The Spirit of God within us cries out, Abba, Father. Term of endearment. There is a sense in which we can run in where angels fear to tread. We are children of God. There is a sense in which we can play among the folds of that robe. We are children of God. He is our Father, but our Father is in heaven and is the Lord thereof. And we hold those two things in attention. Now, it's so hard, and this is the reason, parents, especially those of you fathers, why you must understand this. Your children must learn to have confidence in you as a father and respect you, to love you and not fear you, to love you and fear you. In that, they are going to learn much about God as a father and learn to hold in attention, this is my Father. My Father is the God of glory. When you approach the throne of God, you are not to be as a child who fears the inconsistency and the immorality of his father. A child comes home one day, his father's in a good mood, he shows him a picture that he drew at